are this afternoon's top stories. Prime Minister Harris praises work of Customs Department but calls on officers to work even harder. 10-year-old Jamaican child murdered, and US adds more countries to Zika alert. Good afternoon and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Monday, January 25th, 2016. I am JD Keynes. We begin with news on the local scene. On Sunday morning, when the country's Prime Minister officially launched Customs Week 2016, he praised the employees within Her Majesty's Customs and Excise Department for maintaining high standards while executing duties. Speaking of the need to ensure that such standards are continuously maintained, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris called on the officers to work even harder.
To have accomplished these standards and then to maintain them would reduce the celebrations, and then not to maintain them would reduce the celebrations of digital customs to empty words. And so I urge all customs officers and administrators to redouble their efforts in service to our country, service that impacts positively on the lives of all our people.
One of the activities for Customs Week 2016 is Wednesday's Officers Exchange.
Navy Space officers will work in Bastia, and Senki Space officers will serve the people at Long Point in Nevis. This inter-island exchange testifies to the holistic view of their roles as servants of the people of the Federation, and it emphasizes too the oneness or unity of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The Customs and Excise Department falls under the Ministry of Finance, of which Prime Minister Harris has responsibility. ZIZ News is following up on reports of a Sunday night shooting incident. An official of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has confirmed that 20-year-old Cameron Libert Jr. of Limekeel was shot several times at about 9:50 p.m. He is reportedly warded at the island's main hospital. That shooting incident occurred in Limekeel. Over on the sister island, the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, or NHCS, will be spearheading activities for History and Heritage Month. During a recent telephone interview, the NHCS's Executive Director, Evelyn Henville, explained the significance of the observance.
We like to use the History and Heritage Month to go back and look at some of the old performances of the various arts, live arts that our children can learn from. And we honor our forefathers during that month. We honor all who have gone and have contributed to the heritage and culture of Nevis. We use that month of February to award certificates to our strong volunteers from the NHCS, and also to just basically honor our heritage and culture.
The month-long observance will be based on the theme Strengthening Our Commitment to Preserving Our Heritage, or Arts, Archives and Marine Environment, and is expected to begin on January 31st with a church service at the Eden Brown Church of God in Butlers. Henville says one of the major highlights will be an event dubbed Nevis Culture Yard, which puts the spotlight on the performing arts.
We'd like to raise the culture of children and show what our children can and do. And so we always have the closing of the event, which we call Nevis Culture Yard, and that's when our children show their performing arts, and they perform in terms of their skills to show the culture of the Federation. We always try to bring back the old cultural activities that seem to be really missing now, we just can't continue teaching through the hip-hop, etc.
We'll take a break and be right back.
ZIZ TV will be starting a brand new program lineup in February, and we want you to help us start off each day with a national prayer. If you have ideas for a national prayer, you can submit them to requests@zizonline.com. Submissions should be no more than 60 seconds long.
Regionally, the decomposing body of a 10-year-old boy identified as Huevia Cooper was found buried in a shallow grave on Sunday. Here's more.
The rotting body of Javay Cooper was found Sunday morning buried behind the house in a shallow grave with its throat slashed and an arm severed 4 days after the boy was reported missing. The severed arm was found in a separate grave at the front of the house. Speculations range from witchcraft to a previous argument between the boy's mother and the 3 suspects arrested by the police.
On to St. Lucia, a police patrol in an inner-city neighborhood resulted in a shootout this past weekend in Castries. More in this report.
Police on patrol in a so-called inner-city hotspot along Chaussee Road in Castries were called into action, reportedly in response to a suspicious suspect.
They came across an individual, and this individual began to act suspicious upon seeing the police. This individual began to walk backwards and then abruptly turned and ran away. The police then gave chase, asking this individual to stop. Whilst pursuing the individual, this person allegedly withdrew a firearm and discharged 2 rounds of ammunition at the police officers that was pursuing him. Luckily, none of the bullets hit the police officers.
The pursuit, Chesterfield confirmed to HTS News Force, ended in bloodshed.
Internationally, the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has extended its travel warning to another 8 countries or territories that pose a risk of infection with Zika, the mosquito-borne virus that is spreading throughout the Caribbean and Latin America.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention extended its travel warning to another 8 countries or territories that pose a risk of infection with Zika, the mosquito-borne virus spreading through the Caribbean and Latin America. The warning adds Barbados, Bolivia, Ecuador, Guadeloupe, Guyana, Cape Verde, Samoa, and the island of St. Martin to a list of 14 countries and territories. The CDC has cautioned pregnant women not to travel to these areas as Zika has been suspected to lead to birth defects. The Zika virus is transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is also known to carry the dengue, yellow fever, and chikungunya virus.
A report released by UNICEF has said that an average of 8 children are being killed or maimed every day in Yemen as a direct result of the war gripping the country. Those who survive the attacks have not been able to attend school as many of their institutions have been destroyed by ongoing war. More in this report.
Yemen's young students are being forced to pay the price for the country's 11-month war. Houthi rebels and loyalists to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh are accused of destroying schools in the southern city of Taiz, disrupting the education of more than 1 million children. Some classrooms have been a no-go area for students over an entire school year. The UN says the Houthis have destroyed at least 100 schools in Taiz.
I was in year 1. My school was shelled and destroyed. Now I'm back working.
79 schools are no longer used as a place to learn. Instead, they're a place to shelter because the destruction has forced many families to abandon their homes. That hasn't stopped some children from heading to the few schools that remain. Many who showed such determination have been killed by shelling. Others who've been injured have been transferred to hospitals that lack medication.
They shelled our schools and homes. We don't know when this war will be over.
The United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, says at least 34% of children in Yemen, about 1.8 million, have not been to school since the airstrikes began in March.
3 dead sperm whales washed up on a beach in Lincolnshire in the UK earlier today, Monday, creating quite a rare moment for visitors at the seashore. More in this report.
3 dead sperm whales have washed up on a beach in Lincolnshire. 2 of the massive 48-foot mammals were found on Saturday morning on a beach near Skegness. The third was found the following morning. Crowds flocked to see the creatures and photographed them.
It's so sad when you see big animals like this on the beach, and to think that there's a whole family being washed up as well. It's horrible to see and it's not nice.
I think it's amazing, and I don't think we'll be able to see another one.
It's just surprising, isn't it? You don't think they're going to be as big as they are. That's all you can say, really, isn't it? Take loads of pictures, never see it again.
The whales that have washed up in the UK are thought to be from a large pod, some of which beached in the Netherlands and Germany.
It looks as though a pod's come into the North Sea, either at the English Channel to the south or around the tip of Scotland or something like that. Sadly, they've got into difficulty in shallow water down here in the Wash, and I'm afraid, they've met their end in the shallow water.
The next move will be to remove the carcasses, but details of the clean-up operation have yet to be announced.
And now taking a look at the weather, today will be partly sunny, while tonight is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with a chance of brief overnight showers mixed with areas of lighter rain. Winds are east to east-southeast at 12 to 18 miles per hour with higher spells over coastal waters. Seas are moderate to rough with heights of 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet. A small craft advisory remains in effect for the waters north and east of the islands. Temperatures will peak to 23 degrees Celsius or 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Sunset for today will be at 6:02 p.m. and tomorrow's sunrise will be at 6:32 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. I have been your presenter, JD Keynes. Have a wonderful afternoon.